There are a few actors that I feel have been able to capture the attention span of the mainstream in the way that Jack Black has been able to for the better part of 25 years. And when looking at his filmography, there's no real surprise why. From his breakout in High Fidelity to his successes in School of Rock, Nacho Libre, and Tropic Thunder, Jack Black has no shortage of classics, and this is still without talking about the animated masterpiece that is the Kung Fu Panda series. But I'm not here to talk to you about the Jack Black movies you know about. I'm here to talk to you about a movie that I feel like is one of Jack Black's best and doesn't get nearly enough credit. One that I feel like if it dropped today would still be culturally relevant and some would argue would have ushered in a new era of content creators. And that movie is Be Kind, Rewind. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not entirely surprised. This movie made about $30.6 million on a $20 million budget, so I definitely wouldn't call it a box office success. And if you look it up on Rotten Tomatoes, it's sitting at a 64% with an average rating of 6.3 out of 10, so I wouldn't call it a critical darling either. Hell, even fan reviews are pretty low at the time. But I dare anyone to watch this movie in 2025 and deny that it has a ton of heart and shares some values that seem even nostalgic in today's society. What on the surface is another comedy on the resume that is Jack Black's career, Be Kind, Rewind is one of the more interesting buddy comedies of the 2000s and definitely deserves another reevaluation in 2025. I'm Will, aka Mark, and if you love movie content, like and subscribe. More support means more videos more often, so let's do this together. And also support the official release. This is a really good movie and this video won't be able to replace that. Be Kind, Rewind started at a pretty big disadvantage from a critical point of view. Premiering at Sundance for film critics and fans of the highest degree, Be Kind, Rewind was regarded as director Michel Gondry's immediate successor to Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which I regard as one of the most technically well-made movies ever. In Eternal Sunshine, Gondry is perfectly able to blend surreal elements into what was once a completely mundane scene, and it really takes the movie to a new level. There are seriously multiple scenes in this movie I don't completely understand how they were even possible and what kind of wizardry was performed in the editing room. With people expecting more of this innovation, I can see why they were let down with this as a follow-up. It's gritty, down to earth, and a different type of surrealism to boot. So I would argue ultimately these are two different movies attempting to serve two completely different purposes and concept. So they were always going to be very different. This movie in essence is about a video shop owned by Danny Glover's character, Mr. Fletcher, that's being looked after by his employee Mike, played by Mos Def. Jack Black is Mike's friend Jerry, a conspiracy theorist who thinks the town's power plant is controlling people's brains. He tries to sabotage said power plant and electrocutes himself, but instead of getting Rorschached, he gets magnetized almost to the point of actual superpowers. When he shows up at the video store to get help from Mike, he erases every single tape in the store. But business doesn't slow down at all, and they need to keep these tapes coming. So Mike gets the idea for them to remake the movies themselves, starting with Ghostbusters, and they go from there, making movies through a process that they nickname sweding, and ultimately they become hits, and more of the community gets involved, and these videos become more in high demand.
That wasn't bad.
Now, when picking the movies that were sweded, Gondry made sure to be particular with his choices. In the end, he went with Ghostbusters, 2001: A Space Odyssey, RoboCop, Driving Miss Daisy, and Rush Hour 2. And yes, Jack Black plays Jackie Chan's character, and yes, it sounds like this.
Get me out here. Forget about the bamboo. We gotta go solve a crime.
Not only did he want to go with films that would have been found on VHS at the time, but he wanted to pick films that would generally look kind of crazy if someone tried to remake them DIY style. And this adds to the absurdity, but also to the charm of just seeing all the different DIY sets and costumes as you just kind of figure out how the hell they're gonna pull all of this off. And this is really the real meat and potatoes of the movie. This is what keeps me coming back. As someone aspiring to be a part of the film world someday, watching the creativity and growth of these characters as filmmakers and actors always makes me want to grab my camera and go make something. Like them sweding these movies starts with just Mike and Jerry, and I guess Jerry's employee as well, and by the end of the movie the whole town is involved. But I can also understand that this wasn't the mindset of every moviegoer. The charm of the DIY-ness of this movie may have been a big turnoff for those initial viewers expecting another Eternal Sunshine. Where that movie was meticulously crafted with darn near perfect beats, this movie has a realness to it that can really be felt. Eternal Sunshine felt like it was an experience that couldn't be replicated, but Be Kind, Rewind feels like it could be made by anyone. But that's kind of the whole point of the movie in the first place. There's still surrealism to be found in this movie, but where Eternal Sunshine does that more visually and within the scope of the story itself, this movie it's found in the humor and situations more akin to like The Office, where people say and do ridiculous things and everyone just kind of goes with it. For example, they talk about how they'll hold a camera 10 feet away so people won't recognize them when they're on film.
If we stay 10 feet away from the camera, she's not gonna recognize us.
And then this is one of the first shots they literally take while they're shooting.
Start over. Sorry, cut.
What?
I looked right in the lens. We gotta start over.
Start over.
Or this lady who's probably one of the most prominent extras in a movie ever just going along with this conversation. This is supposed to be Passaic, New Jersey, which notably I don't know much about, but I doubt older people would be this chill about their dry cleaning ever.
Sure it's in fine condition. What's your name? Ann, Miss Ann, thank you so much. You gotta make sure she gets a wardrobe credit.
She will get credit,
okay,
for sure.
So,
and then some. I'm gonna be thinking about parts for you in the future of our films. Not you, however. You blew it.
And just throughout the film, Jack Black's Jerry is super goofy, but not in an overly Jack Black way, if you know what I mean. It's humor like this that keeps the movie going, especially with the more serious underplots that this movie also has. At the start of the movie, Mr. Fletcher is alerted that the building is being condemned as a slum, and if the funds aren't raised to fix the building, it'll get torn down and built into new high-end apartments. Also, side note, imagine being this guy. Like, whenever a movie or show needs someone to be a piece of shit or like a weird executive, this is always the guy they call. Like, The Boys is the most notable one I can think of, but there's like Fun with Dick and Jane, Final Destination 5, Wolf of Wall Street, and I'm sure there's others, but you know, shout out to PJ Byrne. But as I said, they've been given 60 days to raise the money to fix the building, so with this montage of Swedish films and the community's togetherness, you would think they're getting there. They have people driving from New York, and just look at this graph. But unfortunately, they don't have enough money, and things get widespread enough that they get shut down by the FBI and all Swedish tapes get destroyed. Which would have really had me like this guy right here. And this really just kills the movement, and our protagonists kind of just give up. There was no fighting on the title on this one, even though they gave it their all. But there is some solace to be found in this movie. Sprinkled throughout the film is a black and white film about Fats Waller that you can tell is being made by the people involved in the movie. But Fats Waller is a jazz musician that we're told has ties to Passaic, having allegedly been born in the same building that the video store is in. I say allegedly because that turns out to not be true. It was just a story that Mr. Fletcher would tell Mike and the neighborhood kids so they'd have some pride in their home.
Louis Armstrong.
Fats was a happy man, and I thought it would make you happy. It's true, I lied. Now I'm going to hell upstairs.
Respect. And this is where the real heart of the movie shines. This documentary isn't for the purpose of lying or making Passaic bigger than it is, but more so for preserving the identity of the community as it quickly heads towards gentrification. This movie values the importance of our community storytellers and their job in our society to pass along our history and legacies. So the entire town comes together to truly put together their first original film. And after working out some of the kinks, it really is quite innovative to watch. This being the biggest kink.
Ain't misbehaving, saving all my love.
And the sense of community, connection, and pride just drips to the screen at the viewing of this film at the end. In the end, Fletcher's video store gets torn down, but the foundation of the city spirit lives on. It's a bittersweet ending, but it's a realistic one, all things considered. It feels like a gut punch where there should be warmness, but Gondry's never been there to hold viewers' hands and coddle them, but to put them into an experience that can feel holy. Another reason this movie didn't reach the audiences that I think it should have could be attributed to marketing. This movie was previewed very much as a laugh-out-loud comedy, and that much is obvious if you revisit the old trailers. This would definitely be a detriment for word of mouth, as the movie doesn't really play like that at all. It's very slice of life with brief intermissions of comedy and a touch of tragedy, because they do make you sit in the real moments, but there's enough humor to elevate it and not make it truly sad. But if you walked in this thinking it was a typical Jack Black movie, you were sorely mistaken. Now, there are many faces or phases to Jack Black's career, as over time he has shown versatility and adaptability. However, leading to this film, Jack Black was just beginning to catch a buzz as a leading name, with roles in movies like Shallow Hal, School of Rock, Nacho Libre, and even a top billing for Peter Jackson's King Kong remake. Jack Black absolutely nailed the oddball character type, and audiences loved him for it, me included, and the box office often reflected this. But when it came to range that we now know Jack Black for, Be Kind Rewind is the first real glimpse we get at Jack Black's true potential as an actor. There's a sincerity found in Black's performance here that you don't really find in a lot of his live-action movies. His ability to balance the absurd humor with emotional vulnerability makes this one of his hardest-hitting films to date. And that's not to leave Mos Def out of the conversation at all. This duo complements each other extremely well, with Mos Def giving a reserved performance, but he really left room for Black to do what he does best, but it also leaves room for him to really emotionally anchor this movie, as a lot of scenes' tones match his energy. And this fits even more perfectly with the DIY aspects of the film, as the chaotic scenes blend well with Black's chaotic style of physical humor and ability to commit to the bit. Outside of Kung Fu Panda, I can't find a role that Jack Black slots more naturally into. And this is even more true when I think about director Gondry and his past works. He used to direct a ton of music videos with large-scale DIY feels to them, so in a way, this movie feels like a return to Gondry's roots while also being an ode to the movies that inspired him in the first place. But more than anything, I can't imagine how audiences would have reacted to a movie like this during the social media boom of 2020. In a time where we needed more entertainment than ever, in a space where it felt like the world just kind of stopped, TikTok, Twitch, and DIY creators absolutely took over the mainstream, and I can't help but think that this movie could have been cemented amongst the pantheon of Jack Black films if it had been released under better circumstances for it. And that it could have inspired a whole new generation of DIY creators, because it surely inspired me. But with that being said, what do you guys think? Have you seen Be Kind Rewind? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And what do you think of my evaluation of it? Do you think it's underrated? Do you think it's rated right where it should be? Do you think we should take another look at it, or it should just be left right behind where it was at? Let me know down in the comments below. But until next time, I'm Will, aka Mark, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.